I really like the CD, the closing disclosure, versus the HUD, because first and foremost, we're no longer referring to it as a HUD because that confuses people with HUD as far as housing urban development. So why do you call...
That term's used very lightly.
Yeah. I mean, it goes everywhere with all sorts of stuff in the real estate business. But, that to me cleans that up. Then the CD itself, it's more... I don't know if I can say transparent, but I think it definitely does a much better job of more or less categorizing things, presenting things in a better way. The only thing that I think that's really going to throw anybody for a loop is the TIP, which is the total interest percentage. The truth in lending form, where it gave you the annual percentage or the total interest paid over the course of the loan.
Right.
And a lot of people look at that number, they're like, okay, my rate is X. I'm borrowing, let's say, $200,000, but your total payments back is like,
double that,
400 something, whatever. And the TIP, the total interest percentage, is a large number that I think is going to throw some people for a loop, just because the government's trying to say, hey, this is what you're going to ultimately pay at the end of the transaction. Now, for us, the biggest thing that we're seeing with the closing documents is the government now wants the consumer to see the full cost, regardless if the seller's paying anything. So like right now, it's traditional and it's, a common thing that the seller provides title insurance. And that's typically written to the contract with probably at least 95% of all transactions, wouldn't you say, here in Tennessee?
Yeah, other than new construction.
Yeah, new construction is one of the big variables. But the way we disclose it now is we can disclose that credit. But going forward, we have to disclose the full cost as if there is no co-issue discount and the seller is not paying anything for the title. So how do you foresee consumers reacting to that?
Well, one of the biggest changes on the closing disclosure you're going to see is it's going to reference owner's title insurance as being optional.
Okay.
Most of the time, I can tell you that consumers probably are never asked, do you want this or do you not want that? They just typically get it. The seller pays for it.
Right.
It's just what comes across the contracts to do that. But this one's going to say optional. The way it's going to be disclosed is going to be completely different than the way people have seen it in the past.